All right, what is up, Broncos country? I hope we're all feeling good about that 38-6 win over the Atlanta Falcons, and I'm just here to talk about some lessons we learned from that game. But before we get into it, I just want to say, leave a like if you enjoy, subscribe if you're not already. You can always wait till the end. Hopefully, I'll have earned it. And drop a comment. Let me know what you thought about our performance today. Let's dive right into it. So, lesson number one, Bo Nix is a good quarterback. So, there's a vast difference between a hopeful franchise QB and a 100% good one. Like, after the past few weeks, I think people have been saying, yeah, Bo Nix deserves our chance to be the franchise QB. He deserves the chance for our front office to build around him. He deserves a chance to, get a wide receiver one this offseason and for us to add a real threat at the tight end position. But if you look at teams like what the Bears were doing with Justin Fields over the past 2 years, in 2022, they finished with the first overall pick, obviously, and they gave Justin Fields the chance to be the franchise quarterback in the hopes that next year he could take that step forward. Well, last year just never really materializes for him. And what I'm seeing with Bo Nix is nowhere near that, because I think we can all definitively say that Bo Nix, he's a good quarterback. He's a good quarterback in the NFL. He's not our hopeful franchise QB. He is our franchise QB. And he just has moments where he's just absolutely unstoppable. The main thing that had concerned me about Bo Nix during certain parts of this year was, okay, during the first half, or particularly in the first quarter of games, him and the entire team, so it's not, all just on him, had a propensity to not come out with intensity, had a propensity to not really execute. And for a team that's so young and doesn't have a lot of experience playing together, that's probably not the biggest red flag in the world. I mean, the bigger red flag was how bad they looked in some of those first quarters, but the first half yips, they look to be over for now. Because last week, what do? You go up 14-3 on KC. Unfortunately, couldn't finish the job. Well, offensively they did. But this week, what do you do in the first half? 21-6. Like, absolutely incredible from the Denver Broncos offense these past 2 weeks. And yeah, I'm just glad that conversation, we've shut the door on that. And the thing about Bo Nix is that he already might be the fourth best quarterback in team history, behind Elway, Manning, and obviously my boy Jake Plummer. I was 4 years old when Jake Plummer led the Broncos to that magical 2005 AFC Championship run, so I don't even remember when that happened. I started watching football when I was 9 in 2010. But yeah, as far as Bo Nix, like, it's just really exciting to see that the Broncos could have finally drafted their franchise quarterback. And the next two biggest tests for him this season are at the Raiders and at the Chargers. Because, okay, you passed the test last week on the road at Arrowhead Stadium. But this upcoming week, you have to win against the Raiders. You have to take care of business in this trap game, or a game that could be a trap game, because obviously the Broncos, they've done a great job of taking care of business this season. Anytime they should win a game, they have won the game. But the next two biggest tests for him are on the road in our AFC West rival opponent stadiums. Now, I expect LA, I expect Vegas to be rocking with plenty of orange, but that's not the point. The point is, it could still be difficult to go on the road and play in a divisional contest, no matter, what's going on there. So, yeah, the Raiders look like they're in free fall mode, and the Chargers, I mean, I have the Chargers-Bengals game in front of me right now, literally behind my computer. So we'll see what happens with that, but hopefully that late in the year we can go into SoFi Stadium and also get a win, and it can just solidify that Bo Nix is our dude. I mean, he already is, but hopefully we get another good performance out of him in those 2 weeks in particular. Now, lesson number 2, the defense was up to the challenge today. So we're 2 weeks removed from a horrific, dreadful performance in Baltimore. Worst performance since week 3 last year, where you gave up 70 points. And they did still need a little bit to get going. I'm not going to say they didn't, but at the same time, part of that is you could say, okay, that was just Kirk Cousins, a multi-year NFL veteran, and some very, very good weapons that they have, just making plays. And there's no shame in losing a rep to Bijan Robinson, like the one where Cody Barton couldn't run with him and they hit the whole shot on 3rd and 10. Like, oof, I don't even know what you do to defend that, because teams have gotten Cody Barton on that twice this year. But regardless, it's not that big of a red flag. But, once they got going, once the pass rush really started to ramp up and take advantage of the fact that Kirk Cousins is not the most mobile quarterback in the world, that's when we really were able to go to work. That's when the defense was really able to hum along. And when you made them one-dimensional, meaning they couldn't just hand off to Bijan Robinson since they were losing by 2 to 3 scores, that's when the game had effectively ended, and the defense, it was just time to tee off. So we have reinforcements these coming weeks with DTY, and we also get Drew Sanders back. That's a guy who I'm really excited to see, especially because of how much we blitzed this year. And one of his best traits as a prospect was how good he was at blitzing. Curious to see the utilization, because I don't know if he's going to be like an edge. I don't know if he's going to be an off-ball linebacker, because I know that they did move him to edge in the offseason, but I know that a lot of people, including myself, think that he is much better as an inside linebacker, and I just think it'd be a waste of him to put him at the edge position. But yeah, so the defense, they were up to the challenge today. Once again, they teed off on a multi-year NFL vet quarterback in Kirk Cousins, which is great because Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. He can provide you some good play in the NFL, and yeah, they were just up to the task. So number 3, Javonte Williams, man, I don't even know how if you can describe Javonte Williams' season in one word in the comment section down below, do that, because I don't know what to say. It's just a hot and cold streak that's inevitable. So last week, I was like, okay, the Javonte Williams era in Denver is over. And it looked like he got relegated because he only had 1 carry. And I thought Estime and Mims was the backfield going forward. But this week, he leads the team in touches. He gets 13. Now, granted, Estime got 9. Jaleel, I think, got 4 or 5 as well. But Javonte Williams, the funny thing about his season is that one week we're just like, he's back. And then the next 2 weeks, we're just like, all right, he's dead in the water. And it looks like no matter what happens on the field, it looks like, I mean, I swear, Estime could have gone for 10 for 150 and 3 last week. And I still think that Javonte Williams this week would show flashes of his old self. And then within the next 2 games, there would be none of that. And the thing about this backfield is that there is a role for everybody. Jaleel and Mims are both kind of your designed, like, gadget touch dudes. Estime is your pure power back. Javonte Williams is your best pass protector, as well as your 2-minute drill specialist and, best all-around receiver in the backfield. But going forward, with the addition of Marvin Mims on some plays, this backfield is incredibly messy. So if you're in fantasy, if you're in DFS, good luck predicting it the rest of the year, because, I mean, it's a great thing for real-life football. It's great that we have all these guys we can rely on to provide us something. But fantasy football, I mean, good luck. Good luck owning any of these dudes. But it's going to be good for Bo Nix to have this sort of backfield because, switching up the personnel looks and switching up the play calls, depending on who's in at running back and, trying to confuse the defense a little bit, that can be a real asset for Bo Nix and Sean Payton and this Broncos offense. So lesson number 4, the Sean Payton hire continues to pay off, to pay dividends. And the Broncos went 4-0 against the NFC South this year, and they dominated every game. Week 3, when everybody after week 2 against the Steelers were like, okay, this Bo Nix dude has a lot of, work to do as an NFL quarterback, which wasn't invalid. They go in and they absolutely beat the brakes off the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who had the previous week beaten the Lions in Detroit. And then middle of the year, you go into New Orleans on Thursday Night Football. Very similar circumstances to how today looked, but offensively, the Falcons were not as depleted as the Saints were when we played them. But you took care of business on Thursday night. And then the week after that, Carolina comes to town. You take care of business against Bryce Young, and you beat the brakes off of Atlanta. I knew that Sean Payton was going to be in his bag today because he's 21-9, or he was 21-9 against the Falcons in his entire career coming into this game. And there is very, very few coaches across the NFL that could get this level of play with this group of talent because it's still a young team. You don't really, coming into this year, you didn't have any proven NFL weapons outside of Courtland Sutton. And we see, these guys take steps forward every week. We've seen the tight ends be more reliable. We've seen Bailey, really emerge. We've seen Franklin, really starting to get in his element. And the Broncos are now around 500 ever since Sean Payton took over, which is a massive W. I think they actually are 500 flat, which, considering how 2022 ended, if you had told me that we'd be in this position within the next 2 years, I would have been over the moon because we looked dead in the water. We looked like the Russ contract was going to hamper us for years to come. And there are still some limitations. Like, for example, you can see that sometimes, the talent level on the field isn't really as great as the Broncos could have made it around a rookie quarterback. But at the same time, they've done the best they can, Sean Payton and George Payton, with what they had. And we've potentially drafted a franchise quarterback for the first time ever as a franchise, because obviously we traded for John Elway, but regardless, I'm just really, really happy that we're in this situation, and this is the best case scenario for the franchise. Really, really happy with the Sean Payton hire. I don't care that we traded a first-round pick to get him. I don't care that we traded or we're paying him $20 million. That doesn't matter. Let the Walmart money bleed from our owners' pockets because this is absolutely incredible. I'm just really happy that we're in this situation. And Sean Payton, he deserves an apology from NFL circles because a lot of people were calling him overrated. A lot of people were saying that he didn't really know how to design an offense. I don't see any of those people now. All the talk I see now is about how good of a play caller he is, about how good of a coach he is. And you know what? I've been saying this since last year. I thought it was absolutely remarkable that he led our Broncos team last year to an 8-9 finish considering what we had on our team. But I'm really excited for the Payton vision and what it looks like within the next few years. Peyton and Peyton, I think George Payton has officially saved his job because I was one of his biggest critics. But hey, results, I'm happy to be eating crow right now. But yeah. So lesson number 5, we have a playoff caliber team. And when in Broncos country, I mean, last year I know we were talking about the playoffs, but when were we in the driver's seat to potentially make a run at the playoffs? And you can say whatever you want about Atlanta's injuries today, which it's not invalid. Like, they couldn't defend a bubble screen to save their lives. We scored 2 touchdowns on them, and every bubble screen we threw looked like it was going to go for a big gain. But you still have to go out there and execute. You are playing against guys that are at least good enough to make it to the NFL, and we've given a real fight to several respectable opponents all year. This was a good team you played today. Not as good, since obviously they weren't at full strength, but on the offensive side of the ball, you gave them everything you had, and guess what? Atlanta could not do anything against you. And if we can make it, this is a team that nobody wants to play in January. Everybody's going to, be talking about us as the trap game, especially because of how good our defense is, and especially because of how high of a level that Bo Nix is playing at, assuming that it continues the rest of the year. And you know what? I don't expect it to continue the rest of the year because he's literally scorching, like scorching. It might have to come down just a little bit, but even if he can, be a little bit of what he's been, this is a team that's gotten good QB play pretty much the entire year, outside of weeks 1 and 2. And you know what? I could see us winning a playoff game. I'm going to say it right now, flag plant on Kodiak Broncos podcast. I could see us winning a playoff game. So what do we have to do going forward? So obviously we have to win at LA. We have to win at Raiders. And to deserve our spot, you have to win against the Colts and the Bengals because, to be in the playoff picture, we are in the playoff picture right now, but to solidify yourself, you have to win games against quality opponents, and hopefully we can do that. Hopefully we can do that against the Colts, who just won today against the Jets, and hopefully we can do that against the Bengals, because those will be very, very telling as to what we can expect going forward and into the playoffs. So yeah, that does it for me. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.